What percentage of people you know in real life are as aware as you are about how the world really works? And if that percentage is very low, then what's that like for you living in that kind of wilderness of ignorance?
Yeah, so I mean by woke, if you mean like know about the ADL and a few
Yes,
of those sorts of things, not, we're
Hard
not
Seller
talking.
Act.
Yeah, none. I don't really. Actually, that's not true. I have one friend in Texas who I've kind of dragged along with me. He's a very stable family man and a lawyer who's doing just fine in life. But he and I have commiserated about this a little bit. That yeah, you end up having to live like some sort of double agent or yeah, secret Asian man or whatever, and it's not that fun. It is alienating. It makes something of a mockery out of your day-to-day life, like where I'm in the hallway and I see my colleagues and stuff, and like for instance, if there are other people where I work who know some of these things, we have there it's an unbridgeable like subject, or we can't talk about it. So I don't know if anyone knows, because if I mention it to them and they don't know, they'll be horrified. There's this kind of reign of silence, and I don't know, like who knows, maybe it's half of us know, but we're all not saying it. And so that's a very alienating thing, and it makes you feel like a liar, because you're sort of putting on an act, just performing a kind of standardized role for people. I basically, honestly, Luke, I feel like a Jew. Like that's the
Yeah,
short answer.
yeah, that's
I feel
brilliant.
like
Yeah.
I feel like a wandering goy, and I don't love it.
Brundle, same question for you.
So I think that pretty much all the Jews I know that I talk politics with, like even in real life, they all know. Like I said, Jews think the same way about this as anti-Semites. They just kind of look at it as like, well, yeah, we won, or like, what are you going to do about it, or like, yeah, like, like, like very much like Kyle, like this whip hand approach. And then the white guys I know, yeah, like family members, everybody gets it. The friends I had that I have talked to about it, um, with the exception of like the hardcore evangelicals who, like basically like fundamentalist Christian types, they they just can't. Those types just can't. They're just not political. Like fundamental, like evangelical Christian, like a really serious one, like just can't get political, like outside of abortion and maybe gay marriage. They just don't. It's just all too confrontational for them. But then, like the white guys, like your gun MAGA guys, you're like, I don't want somebody trying to put a dress on my son guys. Yeah, they're kind of like blank slates. They've been the ones I've talked to about have been like blank slates, where they you know they'll they'll buy right. It's all news to them, and I guess in a sense, like I've gotten to them first, and these are guys that trust me, and I've been able to red pill them.
So I have some friends that we all know, at least be able to point out who's Jew and who's not a Jew, and know that Jews usually are going to do things in what they perceive to be their self-interest. It may not be my interest. Normally, it's a little bit harder. Talk about minorities and immigration is much easier than the JQ, because you don't want to ruffle those feathers. You don't want to be like thrown into the neo-Nazi camp.
It
Right.
depends who you're
And
talking to. It depends who you're talking to. Like you can't talk to a woman about any of these things, and you can't talk to a bleeding heart liberal guy. But like other than that, I feel like real men can talk about anything.
The thing is,
Honestly,
though, you know what? That's right. It's men. It's interesting. Like Luke and I talked about this maybe 18 months ago or something, which is that there's nothing to be gained really in terms of social status from knowing this stuff. And as a result, anyone who cares about social status has like a reflex. They have a reflex. As soon as you say Jew anything, they go, oh, like I'm out, And so you just can't say that. And this
right? Like
programming, hold on, this programming, it was very intentional, right? It's been there for a long time. This is the thing where, like, you know, I mean, such a normie who accidentally woke up. Like, put me back to sleep. Remember that guy in the Matrix who like wants to go back to sleep? Like, that's me at this point. But it's like, but I woke up somehow because like I'm friends with Luke or whatever. Like I read the Torah. There were some mean verses in there, whatever. Like it happens sometimes to people. I think it's hard for you to imagine what it's like to be me or what it's like to be a regular old Midwestern kid who didn't know this stuff, but didn't know it because someone didn't want him to know it. Let's say it's just mostly Gentiles. And then I'm mad at them. Like, I mean,
for cucking.
Like for cucking and also for like, yeah, because they don't know. Like, I don't think they understand what they're doing or else they're selling us down the river. And that's like, that's awful, you know?
And why is it that like, and I, to Melky, to your point, it's like, whoa, like don't criticize the employer class. It's like, you know, it's like attacking the nobleman,
right.
You know, and why is it like, you know, if whites, East Asians, and Jews basically are represented in elite circles, like why is it okay to bash like Chinese and whites or whatever, but you can't bash Jews? Like why are they so special? Are they just ascendant? You know what I mean?
Again, even aside from the Jewish thing, like it doesn't really feel okay to me that like basically, I mean, I'm assuming Kyle's in Los Angeles or New York or Paris or something because that's where this stuff happens. And so you've got like a whole nation of, you know, 290 million people who don't live in those places, and it does not matter how high their verbal IQ is. This is Kaufman's geography argument. And to me, this is like when people realize it, when they realize that like we are being ruled over by people in Manhattan, like they don't like that. They're not going to like that because you guys have different values than we do. You're atheists and we're not, you know?
How was it waking up to that? Because I spent my entire life, even growing up, like identifying names that were Jewish. Like I've been doing that since I was like
Me too.
That's a great example, Rustin. It was 5 years ago that I started doing that. And so I was 36 at the time. And before that, I would read like a Sam Harris book and go, wow, what a cool white guy this is. He's a real iconoclast.
Man.
You know?
I'm like Rustin. I can't even identify with that because it's like,
yeah,
I always like from
your dad told you.
Middle school. Yeah. I mean, elementary school, you have no idea.
But see, that's nepotism. Like that's what I'm saying is like you learned from some inside track. But like why don't the institutions tell us this? Why can't we just be taught the truth? And see, the reason this is so important to me is like I'm saying, Kyle, like, okay, you run the show. I don't want to have to kick you out. I hope nothing bad ever happens. I'm being serious. But like, I'm also speaking as a relatively articulate prole here and kind of pleading that you know, change course or adapt or like listen better to the needs of the people out there in South Dakota and stuff. Because I don't want them to get mad about this. And like part of that is don't lord it over them. You know, don't wave your dick in their face all day long. Like, you know, I mean, stay off stage. There are ways of doing this. This is how the ADL did it, right? They did not stand up in the front, you know, center stage and like tell me we're going to take away your speech rights. They did it before I knew it happened. So like, at least do that. At least subvert quietly.
Yeah, like own CNN. Don't be the anchor on CNN.
Exactly.
See, I'd rather have Jews act like they did for a long time, where sort of be in the midst of these other people, don't act up, do your job, go home, live in your community. And so they kind of got greedy in a sense, at least in America, where they have to be in the middle of everything, and now they are what used to be the nobility.
There's a woman called Virginia Postrel, who I'm sure you may have heard of. She was editor of Reason Magazine for some years. She began pushing this notion in the 1990s that to criticize capitalism was anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Shut up. What? How is that anti-Semitic? Oh, because of, well, they didn't use that word trope then. Oh, because it's a long-standing trope that the Jews control capitalism. What difference does it make who controls it? It's the effects that we're worried about. So, you know, just shut up about your criticism of capitalism, because the word has come down that this is anti-Semitic. Now, this disastrous campaign, which I've talked about tonight, this has been going on for quite some time. That no criticism of Jews is to be allowed, that no criticism of organizations or intellectual movements which are founded, led by, or disproportionately Jewish is allowed. I haven't mentioned BDS. I am very much against BDS, but this campaign to make it criminal, big mistake. Now, Kyle would say, you know, it seems to be working for the time being. Well, things have a funny habit of working until they stop working, and then things get ugly.
Jews are, it doesn't matter. Your community is anti-Semitic. Your community is anti-Semitic. I don't care what you are. It's not about
No,
any
we're
member of the
pro-white,
panel.
bro. We're pro-white.
None of this is about any
We're
member of the
pro-white.
panel. It's about your
Anti-Semitism is
community.
conspiracy
Your
theory.
community is
Anti-Semitism
anti-Semitic.
is a
Yeah,
conspiracy
it's a conspiracy
theory.
theory. Gas the Jews
It's a
is a conspiracy theory.
conspiracy theory.
1488 is a conspiracy theory.
That's a
It's not a
joke,
conspiracy theory.
dude. That's
No,
a
it's not a joke.
That's a joke.
It's a genuine sentiment. It's a genuine sentiment.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yes, it is. The
Because
anger is in your
it's a
voices.
response. It's a
The anger
response
is
to
in
being
your
force-fed.
voices,
No,
Rondo.
it is a response to being force-fed the lie, the conspiracy theory about roller coasters throwing people into ovens.
The anger is in you guys' voice. You're so mad because you're getting beaten.
Kyle.
That's what it is. You're not just trolling. You're not just these gleeful trolls. You're getting beaten, and you're mad about it. That's what's happening.
Really
I'm
didn't
not
address.
getting beaten by you.
Not by me.
It's cathartic. No,
Your
it's
side is
cathartic.
getting beaten
Honestly,
by
it's
my
cathartic
side,
for me to
too.
come on. It's cathartic for me to come on and like use you as a punching bag for my whatever frustrations I feel.
You always run away from my points. You can never actually counter my points.
Run away.
No.
I
Why?
address
What's the
your points. You
foundation
end up
of your
making
beliefs? And you
ridiculous,
go,
always
I just feel like I'm
You make
secure
laughable
ground.
statements and you argue in bad faith.
I just have
You
my
argue in
feelings.
bad faith.
Why?
You
Why
argue
can't
in
you
bad.
just accept my
Everybody on this
feelings?
panel knows you
Why can't
argue
you
in bad
accept
faith.
my
You
feelings,
don't care
bud?
about pursuit of truth.
Rondo.
You don't care about pursuit of truth.
Hugs,
Why
love,
can't you just accept my
inclusion.
feelings?
Kyle genuinely has no idea of the effect that he generates in his audience, which is overwhelming. Which is it's a two parts. One is revulsion, and the second part is this is a put on, right?
None of this is new.
Put on.
None of this is new to me.
When I quoted the Bible to you, you said, and suggested that modesty is a good quality. In effect, you said I'm doubling down on arrogance. And that's what leads people to think. That's what leads people to think that you're a plant or this is some sort of performance art, because they think no one could be that wicked as this man appears to be.
None of this is new to me. I've been part of so many radicalized communities, so many fringe communities, and they all have this attitude. It's always this kind of pitchy.
Was it 109? The ADL and the SPLC are Jewish-run organizations. You've already admitted Facebook is a Jewish-run organization. There's Google. There's
Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society.
Thank you very much. So, what are you going to say to that? What are you going to say to that, Kyle?
Islamic individuals don't kill anybody. So is it like a conspiracy
Why
theory?
are we talking about Islamic? I'm asking you about the specific organizations I named.
There's a principle at hand here about conspiracy theories and what constitutes conspiracy theory. I'm saying that when an individual...
I didn't say conspiracy theory. I named specific organizations.
To the community.
I asked about specific organizations.
I mean, it's
why aren't the Sacklers in jail, Kyle? What's up with that? Why isn't why isn't Jussie Smollett in jail? Is it because he's part black or because he's part Jew?
Brundlefly.
Or both.
It's not an anecdote. It affects.
No, it's not an anecdote. What? It's indicative. No. It's indicative of a pattern. Well, you know what? The Sacklers are indicative of something. Of course it is.
Okay, whatever.
I don't. Indicative.
I don't
and
care.
Their body count goes into the hundreds.
I don't
of
give
thousands.
a damn what you think about medical policy. I don't give a damn what you think about the Sacklers.
Medical policy. Oh no, that's not. Well, that's not direct violence. That's not violence.
Yes, correct.
It's
correct.
Not. Oh, right. The Sacklers, because they didn't have their hand on the trigger. They're not as morally culpable as Robert Bowers. You know what? Somebody said in the chat, and I think it's probably true. You have created 200 potential Robert Bowers tonight alone.
According to the Motherboard story on Facebook, the phrase "immigration is tearing the country apart" will be deleted if it appears. Phrases like that. Now, that's obviously it's a conspiracy to suggest that Facebook and other social media companies, which are run by a handful of people, are engaged in an effort to crush free speech.